Before Tataha tu Ativrajya Surashtram Vruddham Sauvira Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Please repeat. Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Tvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Hiramatyan Guru Jangalamsha Tavad Yamunamupetya Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Mataji's. Tatastvativrajya Surashtra Vruddham Sauvira Matsyan Kuru Jangalamscha Kalena tavad yamunamupetya tatrodhavam bhagavatam dadarsha tatastwati vrajya surashtamriddham Viramatyan Kuru Jangalamscha Tavad Yamunamupetya Trodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. Tataha, from there, to, but, Ativrajya, bypassing over, Surashtram, the kingdom of Surat, Riddham, very wealthy, Sauvira, the kingdom of Sauvira, Matsyan, the kingdom of Matsya, Kurujangalan, the kingdom of Western India, up to the Delhi province. Cha, also. Kalena, in course of time. Tavat, as soon as. Yamunam, the bank of the river Yamuna. Upetya, reaching. Tatra, there. Uddhavam, Uddhava, one of the prominent Yadus. Bhagavatam, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. Dadarsha, happened to see. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira, and Matsya, and through western India, known as Kurujangala. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. The tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. This land is sacred because Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father Maharaj Nanda at Vrindavan. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but a devotee is eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Those who are in ecstasy of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shyama Sundara, Krishna, see him always in their hearts due to love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. Both Vidura and Uddhava were such elevated devotees, and therefore they both came to the bank of the Yamuna and met each other. Om Agyanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Aradhya Bhagavan Rajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Hare Krishna. So, okay, let me read the verse again. Tatastati vrajya surashtram riddham sauvira matsyan kuru jangalamscha kalena tavad yamunam upetya tatrodhavam bhagavatam dadarsha. Thereafter he passed through the very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira and Matsya and through western India known as Kurujangala. At last he reached the bank of the Yamuna where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. So, Vidura, having obtained the news of Krishna's departure and feeling extremely sad about that, feeling extremely dejected, distraught, and in great transcendental lamentation, is now making his way to Vrindavan. He's making his way to Vrindavan where he will meet Uddhava on the banks of the river Yamuna. Now, Vidura receives news of Krishna's passing away in Gujarat. And you can see here that the provinces of Surat, Sauvira and Matsya are mentioned. These are the western provinces of India. Today, even up till today, there is still the city of Surat, and it is still it's a very wealthy place. This is very interesting because somehow or the other, the devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, especially in his form of Krishna, has been maintained up till the present point of time in these, which are now the modern states of Gujarat and Rajasthan. And in general, these states are among the wealthy states of India, especially Gujarat. So we can see that it's not that they had just become wealthy now. They were wealthy since the time of Lord Krishna himself. Krishna himself was present there, therefore it was definitely a wealthy place. And it continued to be a wealthy place after him, after Krishna's disappearance. And we can attribute that to the devotional sentiment of the people towards Lord Krishna. Especially Prabhupada called Gujaratis. He said they're natural devotees of Krishna. Prabhupada used this word, that they're natural devotees of Krishna. Naturally, they're very devoted to Krishna. And Gujarat is also the where the Pushti Marg Sampradaya of Vallabhacharya is headquartered. The headquarter of the Pushti Marg, does anybody know? Nathdwara. Nathdwara, so opulent, extremely opulent worship, especially in terms of sweets. They cook only in ghee, and they make so many sweets. And why? Because they worship Krishna as a young cowherd boy, baby boy. And what does baby boys like? Sweets. So Krishna needs sweets. He needs milk, butter, sweets, and more sweets. And of course, he needs some nice songs. So they have very beautiful songs that they sing for Krishna. The temples of Lord Krishna established by the Pushti Marg are not called temples. They're called Havelis. They're called houses. They're called houses because you come to Krishna's house. It's, The Charlotte Shravan Kirtan camp was conducted in a Haveli, and you can see, the worship tends to be, it's opulent, but there is a level of sweetness involved in that opulence. And And the worship itself starts much later than temple worship in most parts of India, because Krishna is a small boy and he doesn't wake up that early. So Mangal Arati is like 6 or 7 o'clock, and Arati times are never fixed. Sounds really nice to us, doesn't it? Arati times are not fixed, because when is a young boy punctual in anything? If he needs to get dressed, he's never on time for doing anything. He's always, something going on. So the whole mood of that worship is like that. It's very interesting. It's bona fide because it's established by a bona fide Acharya, Vallabha Acharya. So Vidura is there, and he has received news of Krishna's disappearance. Of course, the Pandavas are still unaware of Krishna's disappearance. And Vidura, feeling great separation from Krishna, and as we can see in the verse, Kalena Tavad, in course of time, he is guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, he is in so much ecstasy of separation from Krishna, feeling great sorrow from the separation of Krishna, and he is just making his way, not kind of like, it's not very thought out, but Kalena Tavad, he's making his way. Eventually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on that word, Tavad, as saying that Tavad can mean in due course of time. Kalena Tavad means that as you can see here, it's as soon as Tavad. But Tavad can also mean in great sorrow. In great sorrow, that a feeling of great distress, actually. That's the word Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses. He says that that in great distress, Vidura carried himself. And I mean, for those who have been to India or who have some idea of India, you'll understand there's quite a distance between Gujarat and Vrindavan. It takes quite some time to get there. And he's passing through all these wealthy provinces, but he's not attracted by any of them. There's so much opulence. What is it? Once my spiritual master, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he said, Gujarat, they have two things, bhoga and Aishwarya. You have good food, and it's all vegetarian, and it's wonderful because it's cooked in ghee and it's sweet, everything is sweet. So the dal is sweet, everything is sweet, the sweets are really sweet. And Aishwarya, you have wealth, you also have beautiful women. So, Gujarat is so these are the wealthy provinces of Surat, Sauvira, and they're traditionally, again, like I said, they're great devotees of Lord Krishna. The Gujarat, the Rajasthan kings, Rajput kings, they saved the deities of Radha Govinda, Madan Mohan, and Gopinath, and Radha Gopinath. So all these three deities were moved to Rajasthan, along with the deity of Srinathji, Nathdwara, and there are many others also, actually. So, and most of the temples in Vrindavan that we see today are also built by the Rajput kings, the Rajasthan kings, which is why that architecture in Vrindavan, if you go to the Radha Govinda temple of Rupa Goswami, whatever is remaining of the structure, it is not similar to the Rajasthani style of the architecture that you find in, for instance, in Kusum Sarovar, which is a typical Vrindavan architecture that we right now we conceive. It's become very much part of depicting Vrindavan temples. It's that architecture. The Kusum Sarovar is like iconic image. But if you see the Radha Govinda temple in Vrindavan, whatever is remaining of the structure, it's very different. Same thing, actually. Madan Mohan also is different style of architecture that was there before that. But thanks to the wonderful devotion of the Rajput kings, we see that influence. So, but Vidura, passing through these Surat and wealthy provinces of Surat, Sauvira and Matsya, he is not attracted by any of this opulence, because he is passing through in great distress. And none of this wealth, none of this opulence, none of the bhoga and Aishwarya that is found in these provinces, even though they may be connected with worship of Krishna, it doesn't attract him. It doesn't attract him. Why? Because he's feeling great separation from Krishna. And for those who are feeling great separation of Krishna, the epitome of that exhibition of feelings of separation from Krishna are exhibited by the residents of Vrindavan, the Vrajavasis, headed by Srimati Radharani. They exhibit that feeling of separation. So it's very suitable, it's very wonderful that Vidura, in feeling great separation from Krishna, eventually was drawn to Vrindavan. And who else also happened to be in Vrindavan? Uddhava. Uddhava also was drawn to Vrindavan. So, Uddhava also, where was he? Where was Uddhava before Vrindavan? He was not, well, yeah, he was in Gujarat. He was not exactly in Dwaraka. He was in, anybody knows where? Yeah, where did Krishna disappear? Yeah, Prabhasa Kshetra. Yeah. So in Prabhasa Kshetra, Somnath. So that's where Uddhava was, along with Rishi Maitreya. And Uddhava also, feeling great separation from Krishna, eventually finds himself in Vrindavan. And so Vidura also follows in that same direction. Uddhava must have also passed through the wealthy provinces Surat, Sauvira and Matsya. And now Vidura also is passing through, and they both meet in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada begins the purport saying that the tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. Now, this Punjab, East India, doesn't mean that it's Eastern India, but it refers to the Punjab, state of Punjab in India, because there's a state of Punjab in Pakistan, modern Pakistan. And previously, Punjab itself was one big state that spread out from a portion of Pakistan all the way to close to Delhi. And Gurgaon, now known as Gurugram. Why is it called Gurugram? Because that is where Dronacharya used to live. Dronacharya used to live there. And therefore it is called the village of the Guru, Gurugram, which later became to be known as Gurgaon. Now they changed it back to Gurugram. So, and so that is in the south, and from there all the way till Mathura is considered to be the most holy place of pilgrimage in India. And why? Because Vrindavan is found there. Vrindavan is there. And Prabhupada writes here that Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. He traveled through it many times. He was in Mathura. His relatives were in Hastinapura, in what is modern day Delhi. He passed through it many times. And then he was also in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he would traverse from Vrindavan to Govardhan, to Barsana and all these other places. And he would keep passing through all these forests. So Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father Maharaj Nanda in Vrindavan. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy, in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. The best example of these devotees are the 6 Goswamis themselves. He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, He Nanda Suno Kutaha. Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale Kalindi Vane Kutaha. Goshantaviti Sarvato Vrajapure Kedair Mahavihvalau. Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghu Yugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. So, the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they are exhibiting the same pastimes that great devotees who find themselves in Vrindavan, just like Uddhava and Vidura, they are all searching after Krishna. They are feeling great separation from searching from Krishna. And they are feeling great separation from Krishna, and they are searching after him. And the Goswamis, as stated in that Shad Goswami Ashtakam, what do they say? He Radhe Vrajadevi Ke Chalalite. They call out to He Radharani, O Srimati Radharani, He Radhe Vrajadevi Ke Chalalite, O Lalita, O Vishaka, O all the gopis. He Nanda Suno, O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna. Kutaha, where are you? Are you on the banks of the river Yamuna? Are you near Govardhan. Sri Govardhana Kalpapad Patale Kalindi Vane Kutaha. Are you in a forest near the river Yamuna? Where are you? So in this way they keep wandering in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada writes here that a devotee is eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. So the truth is this cannot be really understood by logic, because actually it just seems like so much suffering. And here it's like, when you look at it from logic, it is like, it is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in the attractive land. What are you doing over there? It is not that these devotees meet Krishna face. It's a little like, it's not what you expect to read. You expect, okay, they're searching and then Krishna appears in front of them. But Prabhupada says, it is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face, but the devotees eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as seeing him personally. So, the devotees go there, they are searching for Krishna, and in that madness of searching for Krishna, their meditation on Krishna is so intense that it is as good as associating with him. And this is the whole in esoteric Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, this is explained very much and very nicely. Of course, Srila Rupa Goswami also describes this in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that there is Vipralamba and then there is Sambhoga. There is separation and then there is meeting. So there is separation, and in that separation there is great anxiety to meet Krishna. There is great meditation upon meeting Krishna. And they go, what will I do? What will Krishna say? Where will I meet him? Where is he found? What will he be doing at this point of time? Am I present? So many things. We will read a little bit about that. And then there is the ecstasy of meeting Krishna, Sambhoga. But even then, Acharya has explained that even when Krishna and his associates are meeting each other, there is fear that there is imminent separation. There is imminent separation. And therefore, there are pastimes of Krishna and with Srimati Radharani, where suddenly, due to some circumstance, Radharani suddenly she feels that maybe Krishna is not there, and immediately she exhibits all these ecstatic symptoms of separation from Krishna, even though Krishna is present right next to her. And this is all described in our Goswami literatures. It's touched upon by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also. So, even when there is Sambhoga, in Vrindavan there is fear of separation. And that fear of separation that feeling of separation, which is predominant in Vrindavan, is what causes that devotional ecstasy to be on that highest inconceivable platform. Because in other places, there is not so much fear of separation from Krishna. For instance, when Krishna is married to his consort, the consort is confident that they have Krishna with them, that Krishna is present, and Krishna is my husband. And when you're married, there is no question of separation, there is no divorce. So, therefore, that feeling is not as strong. Of course, the feeling is there when Krishna leaves Dwaraka or goes somewhere, then the feeling is definitely there. Whenever Krishna is visiting Hastinapura, for instance, then the residents of Dwaraka experience great separation from him. And if you take it further, for instance, if you go to Vaikunta, then there is no fear of separation. There is just the ecstasy of being with the Supreme Lord, always. And that position is very secure and very wonderful. And it is transcendental, it is great. But there is an intensity, our acharyas explain, in the feelings of separation that is experienced in Vrindavan. And that intense feeling of separation gives Krishna the greatest pleasure. And that feeling of separation is exhibited the most by the gopis of Vrindavan. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita. That the devotion shown by the Vrajavadus, the damsels of Vrindavan, the gopis of Vrindavan, are the greatest because they love Krishna in the mood of being a paramour. So this mood, it's it's a very special mood because Krishna is not their husband. They have been married after somebody else, and they have to meet Krishna with great anxiety that they might be caught at any point of time. Yet they can never give up their attraction towards Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. They just cannot. And they are constantly performing their different duties and things like that in the day and trying to make everything look like everything is normal, all the while meditating upon Krishna. And you will find this kind of feeling kind of permeating through, in Vrindavan also, in like, and the those who are the elder gopis and gopas who are parents of other children who are other than Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they also want Krishna to be their child. They desire this. Even and it's almost like they are praying for when Krishna will come and steal something in their house. And then they can chase him away, and they can and engage in these pastimes. And therefore the Brahma Vimohana Leela happened also. The Brahma Vimohana Leela, one of the purposes with that Krishna achieved through his inconceivable Yogamaya potency, is that when he expanded himself as the different cowherd boys, all of the residents of Vrindavan, all of the elder residents of Vrindavan got to experience Krishna as their own son, which they desired. But how was it possible? How was it possible? Every time Krishna may come, he may come, but then they feel so much separation. Krishna is not coming to my house. They want Krishna to come to their house. But now, at least in that 1 year, Krishna was coming to their house every day, disguised as their own son. And this feeling is not just in, this is the Vatsalya rasa that is experienced by the elder residents of Vrindavan, but it's also experienced by the cows. The cows also wanted Krishna as their son. And therefore Krishna expanded as the calves too. Even the cows of Vrindavan experience a level of separation that is not found anywhere else. This is that mood in Vrindavan, and this is the mood that we worship. We worship this mood. And how this is so cannot be explained. It just, you cannot, we can speak about it large. Like, there are some ways in which acharyas have explained these things. Srila Prabhupada has also experienced that when you are separated from someone, the meditation is very intense. It's very intense, and there is a lot of meditation about the meeting, which makes the meeting very sweet. Still, this kind of explanation only gives a rather just some kind of framework, you can say. It doesn't actually explain it, because it can only be realized. It can only be realized by those who are pure devotees. Prabhupada says, philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him in Vrindavan in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. So philosophically we can understand this. Philosophically we can understand, because the meditation on Krishna when one is in separation from him is very intense. And because of that intense meditation, one is very closely associated with Krishna. And therefore, from that philosophical perspective, we can understand that this gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. This gives more pleasure. So from philosophically we can understand like this. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. We read that verse. So I wanted to read here one very nice example of this is there's many of them, but I personally wanted to read Akrura's arrival in Vrindavan. It's actually I need to read that from the Krishna book. Just because Anyways, I'll just stay, I'm not going to read that, but another very, very, very ecstatic section that speaks of this is the Gopi songs of separation, the Gopi Geet, that begins with Jayati te dikam janmana vraja Shrayate Indira Shashwadatrahi. This is how those words begin. And the gopis practically go mad in ecstasy. They start to imitate Krishna's pastimes. In that chapter, you can see. Anyways, this is Akrura arriving in Vrindavan. So, the context is Akrura was requested by Kamsa to arrive in Vrindavan by evening. After receiving the instruction from Kamsa, Akrura started the next morning via chariot for Vrindavan. Because Akrura was himself a great devotee of the Lord, while going to Vrindavan, he began to pray to the Lord. Devotees are always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, and Akrura was constantly thinking of Lord Krishna's lotus eyes. He did not know what kind of pious activities he must have performed to gain an opportunity to go see Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram in Vrindavan on that day. A pure Vaishnava always thinks himself unfit to serve Krishna. So Akrura began to think within himself that he was unfit for gaining the transcendental opportunity of seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He considered himself unfit for seeing Krishna as a materialistic person is for understanding the science of God, or as a fourth class person, a Shudra, is for studying the Vedas. So this is the mood that the devotees feel. They feel that they are so unqualified that they are not qualified to meet Krishna. Who are they? Who are they? Why is Krishna going to appear in front of them? Why would Krishna want to meet them? Who are we? The gopis also would exhibit these kind of feelings. It's like, now Krishna is gone. He is now with the civilized women of Mathura. Why is he going to come and see us, us simple, village women? He has all the opulence, all the beauty. The women of Mathura are very beautiful, so we have heard. They are aristocratic women. They are rich and wealthy. And they are in this, city of Mathura. Who are we? We are some simple village cowherd women. Why will Krishna come back? Now he has tasted royal opulence. So he's not going to come back. And thinking like this, the gopis would feel even greater separation from Krishna, because they're feeling so unqualified. They're feeling completely Akrura also is feeling this way. He's feeling that I'm very, very unqualified to meet Krishna and Balaram. Who is Krishna and Balaram? Why will Krishna and Balaram see me? I'm so unqualified. And the example that Prabhupada gives here is, as a materialistic person is for understanding the science of God. So a devotee, sometimes we are like, we feel like we want to understand everything. But actually, we are not capable of understanding everything. I mean, just the fact that, we have material desires is a disqualification for us to understand the science of God. So who are we to understand everything? Then what is the solution? What is the solution then? Mahajano yena gata sapantha. That we follow in the footsteps of the Mahajanas. That just by following what they are saying, everything will become revealed to us. We may not be able to understand everything. You can't wrap your head around everything. But we follow in the footsteps of the great devotees. And it's very interesting, I'll just make this point because it came to my mind. It's very interesting that while feeling these great feelings of distress, right, transcendental distress, and arriving in Vrindavan, even devotees, pure devotees like Uddhava and Vidura, seek devotee association. They seek devotee. It's not this. It's not like materialistic anxiety, depression, distress. It's not like that. It's not like they want to become lonely, go shut themselves in a room, feel like they don't want to look at anybody anymore, and things like that. This kind of materialistic feelings is not what devotees experience. Devotee association is always desirable. Why? Why is devotee association desirable? On what level? Why is devotee association desirable? It reminds us one of Krishna. A devotee is only interested in remembering Krishna. How can the association of those who are not devotees of Krishna remind one of Krishna? Actually, I was very impressed when Mrigendra Prabhu was down here, and there were all these stickers on the refrigerators that were still there. And he was like, you can take the stickers off of the refrigerator. And I was like, yes, Prabhu. I'll do it right now. And then he was like, well, it's okay. You have those, but you see, you can put pictures of Krishna on the refrigerator. He said, it will remind people of Krishna. He said the stickers and the energy calculations on it might remind people of something other than Krishna, which is not very desirable. So this is a temple of Krishna. You should try to remind people about Krishna everywhere. So why have these things? At least take the sticker off. So I thought about it. I was like, that's actually really, really true. It's true, because when you look at a painting of Krishna, I mean, what do you look at a painting of Krishna? It's Krishna. I mean, you're going to think, this is Krishna. It's like you get reminded of Krishna, or some quote or something like this. So you see, generally also, many devotees, they like to put up things, around their room or their walls or something like that, have something that reminds them of Krishna. And devotee association is the best thing that reminds one of Krishna. Because in devotee association, what happens? What's that Bhagavad Gita verse? Mat chitta madgata prana bodhayantas parasparam katayantas cha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This should be devotee association. It's not that Vidura and Uddhava, they wanted to go go chant secluded by themselves in Radha Kund, or just sit by themselves and read books without and didn't want to look at devotees, or the attitude that maybe being with devotees is some difficulty or some austerity. No. Being with devotees is the most desirable thing. We don't have anything else to do in life except to be in the association of devotees. Whatever we may do, whatever circumstance in life we may be, we have to be in the association of devotees. So, and why? If we have the attitude that we are not so elevated, we are in Maya, then we will desire the association of devotees. Because, oh my God, I'm already in the association of devotees, I'm in Maya. What to speak of being outside of the association of devotees? If in the association of devotees, in the temple I'm in so much Maya, if I go out of it, what is going to go away? Or if I'm just going to go and arrive in Radha Kund, I'm suddenly going to become a Paramhamsa overnight? No. If you can't take the association of those who are around you, how are you going to take association of Bhagavatas in the Srimad Bhagavatam? You can't do it. Or as a fourth class person, a Shudra is for studying the Vedas. So, fourth class person, Shudras. Kalau Shudra Sambhavan. We are all born as Shudras. Wonderful, that's another realization. And so even us reading these books, it doesn't have much, it won't have its effect unless we are in the association of devotees. The books are meant to bring us to the association of devotees, and the association of devotees is meant us to keep us reading the books, and the reading the books is meant us to keep us within the association, and like this. So, Akrura began to think, by the grace of Krishna, everything is possible. And thus, if he likes, I will be able to see him. Just as a blade of glass floating on the waves of a river may by chance come near the ocean and gain shelter, a conditioned soul carried away by the waves of material existence may sometimes be saved by the grace of Krishna. Akrura thus thought that if Krishna willed, he would be able to see him. Akrura considered himself most fortunate that he was going to see Krishna, whom the great mystic yogis desire to see. This is a very, very nice chapter to read before one enters Vrindavan. One gets the good fortune of visiting Vrindavan, and that mood is required. This is what is that? Radha Padankita Dham Char Dham Vrindavan, something like this on these lines. That Vrindavan is the land where Srimati Radharani has placed her divine foot, where the dust from the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani is present. The dust from the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani is not present anywhere except in Vrindavan. Well, there's one more place, Kurukshetra. Now, she never went to Mathura. She will never go there. But she went to Kurukshetra. And that's manifested as Puri, the pastime and everything. Rath Yatra in Puri. But her land, what is that? She's also called Vrindavaneshwari. Because she is actually the queen. Yeah, the queen of Vrindavan. And so it's only by her mercy and by the mercy of the devotees that one can gain entrance into that holy abode, that holy dham. And one must have that mood. I mean, I was really amazed, hearing Mukund Datta Prabhu speak. And he was like, the tree outside my house is a kalpavriksha. My house is made of chintamani stone. And it's like, wow. Because you go there with a mundane vision, MVT looks like it's built with bricks, the same bricks that, outside this temple wall and any other in the part of this neighborhood. But it's not. It's not. And it shows that devotees like him are qualified residents of Vrindavan because they even became familiar. In fact, forget familiar, they are seeing Vrindavan with Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. They are seeing it with the eyes anointed with love. You cannot simply continue to imagine something. That imagination, like sometimes devotees, that I've heard like, sometimes, Prabhuji, I'm seeing trees come up. I feel they're sitting in the temple room, and don't you see trees everywhere? And don't you see like the river flowing? Or don't you hear the Yamuna and this and that? And it's nice, but some of their other activities don't really line up with this. And then you see that they don't see trees everywhere. Sometimes they get angry, or sometimes they get upset that that they didn't get the morning sweet or something like this. So you don't. But those who have consistent vision, you can see that consistency, and it is maintained. At all times. It's maintained at all times. I was speaking to Mukund Datta Prabhu, even just when we were in Vrindavan. We had his good fortune. We were able to visit the Krishna Janmasthan in Mathura with him. And, I was talking to him, and at that we were at the fag end of our, Yatra in Vrindavan, and we were about to leave for Mumbai. And I was thinking, what? This is crazy. We're leaving from Vrindavan to this hellish place called Mumbai, which is really hellish by all, all factors. It's hellish. You don't have to imagine that it is hellish. It is hellish. It's just so horrible, the pollution and everything. It's just like, and I was actually feeling like, for the first time, I was feeling little heaviness. I was like, oh man, it's like, because we were feeling so much mercy, so much ecstasy, so much, it really felt, so many incidents happened when we were in Vrindavan and Mayapur, and we really felt welcomed into the holy dham in whatever little minuscule way that we are able to feel something. Krishna reciprocates with even insignificant devotees. That's his great mercy. You're able to feel that. And I was expressing Mukunda. I said, Prabhu, for the first time in my life, I'm really, really feeling sad. That I said, I've never experienced this. I'm feeling little sadness. I don't want to sound like a sahajiya, but there is some little sadness. And I'm like, you're a resident of Vrindavan. How do you do this? And I was thinking, and I told him, I was like, and then I was thinking, Prabhupada, he said that he was in Vrindavan and he was fully happy. He had nothing. He had no feeling of anything lacking or anything like that. And he was in Vrindavan. He had made it. He was a pure devotee. I mean, there's nothing more to do. But still Srila Prabhupada left to give us compassion, to show compassion upon souls like us. And then Mukund Datta Prabhu said, that is the only thing that makes me want to continue coming, leave Vrindavan and like come. He said, otherwise I would never do it. So I would never do it. When I think that Srila Prabhupada did it, I feel compelled, okay, I must also go. As long as I'm able to go, I must also go. I must also go. I must also try. I must also preach. I must also try to encourage devotees. Otherwise I never want to leave. It's like, I don't want to leave. So this is just amazing how those who follow in the footsteps of the great acharyas, they exhibit that same mood and they think, okay, our acharyas did this. It's like just like the Goswamis, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno, Sadharma Samstapakau, Lokanam Hitakarino, Tribhuvane, Lokanam Hitakarino. That they are in Vrindavan, they are in full ecstasy, they are associating, as you can see here, those who are meditating upon Krishna, they are already associating with him. And when one thinks of Krishna, one gets greatest pleasure. As we can see philosophically, there's the greatest pleasure found there in remembrance of Krishna, in the mood of separation. So they already have the greatest happiness. But they are so compassionate. Lokanam hitakarina. That still in the middle of that they are thinking that all these fools and rascals. What is that verse of Prahlad Maharaj? How does it begin? Naivodvije paraduratyaya vaitaranyas twadvirya gayane mahamrita magna chitta soche tato vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvhato vimudhan. Soche tato. I am thinking of those. I am very happy. Twadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chitta. My consciousness has been merged in thinking about your wonderful pastimes. In your wonderful glories. But soche tato vimukha chetase, and I'm feeling great sadness thinking about these fools and rascals who are suffering in the material world. So the Goswamis in the same mood, they wrote all this literature. They didn't write that literature to convince themselves. They didn't have to write those things. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno. Sadharma Samstapakam, to establish the process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to establish Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan as the means of salvation in this world, in this age of Kali. For us. So, the whole Bhagavatam, even Akrura, Uddhava, this is what is, you see this mood. And now, Krishna is going to use Vidura, who's feeling this great mood of separation, and Uddhava, who's also feeling that great mood of separation. Uddhava is going to instruct Vidura to go and meet Rishi Maitreya, and Rishi Maitreya is going to speak topics of instruction to Vidura. Vidura is going to ask very pertinent questions that are not pertinent to him but pertinent to us. And through the agency of Shukadeva and Parikshit Maharaj, and by the mercy of Suta Goswami, this becomes revealed to the world for our benefit. Krishna Sadamokopade Dharma Jnanadi bhi saha Kalam Nashta Drishamesha Puranarko Dhunoditaha. And this is going to be revealed to us. Why? Because the symptom of one who has great feelings of separation to Krishna is that he also has great compassion upon the fallen conditioned souls. This is not two separate things. It is not two separate things. You will see that theme consistently. You see it in the Goswamis, you see it in Srila Prabhupada, you see it in the sincere disciples and followers of Srila Prabhupada, you see it in personalities such as Vidura, Maitreya, Shukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj. You see them. Parikshit Maharaj, he saw Krishna. Before he was born, he saw Krishna. Forget about seeing Krishna. We are alive and we still haven't seen. But he saw Krishna before he was even born. But this compassion, and this is why that Srimad Bhagavatam exhibits that unnato jwala rasa. That's exhibited in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is found. Actually, our acharyas, they bring it out. It's hidden. It is kind of hidden in the Srimad. It is found. Actually, see, it is like this, And it's like Krishna is saying, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Idom Uttama. It's the greatest secret. But there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita, but people don't realize that what is it? Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskur. They will not offer obeisances to Krishna. So, it is there, but it is hidden. And it is brought out by our acharyas, by great devotees. So, in this way, Akrura, he says that Akrura continued to consider that formerly great sages and saintly persons were liberated from the material world simply by seeing the shining nails of the lotus feet of Krishna. Such nice meditation, And then he says that, okay. He was thrilled with the expectations of seeing the very lotus feet which are worshipped by the great demigods like Brahma, Narada and Lord Shiva, which traverse the ground of Vrindavan, which touch the breasts of the gopis, covered with the tinges of kumkum. He thought, I am so fortunate that I will be able to see those very lotus feet on this day, and certainly I shall be able to see the beautiful face of Krishna, which is marked on the forehead and the nose with tilak. I shall also see his smile and his curling black hair. I can be sure of this opportunity because I see that today the deer are passing on my right side. Today it will be possible for me to actually see the beauty of the spiritual kingdom of Vishnu Loka, because Krishna is the supreme Vishnu and he has advented himself out of his own goodwill. He is the reservoir of all beauty, and therefore today my eyes will achieve perfection. Then he says, this is another very nice section here. Let me see. See this. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the spiritual master of all spiritual masters. He is the deliverer of all fallen souls and the proprietor of all the three worlds. Anyone who is able to see him by eyes smeared with love of Godhead enjoys a festival of seeing. Today I shall be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who by his transcendental beauty has attracted the goddess of fortune to live with him perpetually. As soon as I arrive in Vrindavan, I will get down from this chariot and fall prostrate and offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord, the master of material nature and all living entities. The lotus feet of Krishna are always worshipped by the great mystic yogis, and so I shall also worship his lotus feet and become one of the friends in Vrindavan like the cowherd boys. When I bow before Lord Krishna in that way, certainly he will place his fearless lotus hand on my head. His hand is offered to all conditioned souls who take shelter under his lotus feet. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life for all people who fear material existence, and certainly when I see him, he will give me the shelter of his lotus feet. And then Akrura, one second, let's see here. Akrura was afraid, however, because he had been deputed by Kamsa, the enemy of Krishna. He thought, I am going to see Krishna as the messenger of the enemy. At the same time, he thought, Krishna is in everyone's heart as the super soul, so he must know my heart. Although Akrura was trusted by the enemy of Krishna, his heart was clear. He was a pure devotee of Krishna. He risked becoming Kamsa's deputy just to meet Krishna. He was certain that although he was going as a representative of Kamsa, Krishna would not accept him as an enemy. Even though I am on a sinful mission, being deputed by Kamsa, when I approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I shall stand before him with all humility and folded hands. Surely he will be pleased with my devotional attitude, and maybe he will smile lovingly and look upon me and thereby free me from all kinds of sinful reactions. I shall then be on the platform of transcendental bliss and knowledge. Since Krishna knows my heart, certainly when I approach him, he will embrace me. Not only am I a member of the Yadu dynasty, but I am his relative and an unalloyed pure devotee. But by his merciful embrace, surely my body, heart and soul will be completely cleansed of the actions and reactions of my past life. When our bodies touch, I will immediately stand up with folded hands with all humility. Certainly Krishna and Balaram will call me Akrura, uncle, and at that time my whole life will be glorious. So this kind of meditation, it happens in separation. This is the point, that this kind of meditation upon meeting Krishna, thinking about Krishna. And then there's another last section that I will read. Let's see here. As soon as he entered the boundary of Vrindavan, he saw the hoof prints of the cows and Lord Krishna's footprints impressed with the signs of his souls, the flag, the trident, thunderbolt, and lotus flower. These symbols on the soles of the Lord's transcendental lotus feet are worshipped by all the demigods and other great personalities throughout the three worlds. Upon seeing the footprints of Krishna, Akrura immediately jumped down from the chariot out of respect. He became overwhelmed with all the symptoms of ecstasy. He wept and his body trembled. Out of extreme jubilation, upon seeing the dust touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, Akrura fell flat on his face and began to roll on the ground. Akrura's journey to Vrindavan is exemplary. One who intends to visit Vrindavan should follow the ideal footsteps of Akrura and always think of the pastimes and activities of the Lord. As soon as one reaches the boundary of Vrindavan, he should immediately smear the dust of Vrindavan over his body without thinking of his material prestige and material position and prestige. So, whenever anybody goes to Vrindavan, don't think, just roll on the ground, finished. Really, it's this is what Vrindavan is. There is no question, there is no, oh my God, what will other people think, this, that, no, nothing. So this is because Akrura did that. Akrura did that. And that is the holy dust of Vrindavan. Navadvip, Mayapur is also non-different. And one can do the same thing also when one approaches Navadvip. Okay, I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Please feel free to ask. Yes, Devabrata Prabhu.
I was just thinking when you were mentioning how this mood of compassion is synonymous with this mood of separation. I was thinking how Madhavendra Puri, his mood of service was such that he was willing to leave Vrindavan for the order of the Lord. And he's constantly reciting that Aidina Dayarunathahi.
Yeah.
So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the commentary to that particular section, his purports, he says that Madhavendra Puri was willing to tolerate unforeseen obstacles, scarcity of resources, and unforeseen obstacles, and like material impediments, something along those lines. And so the point that's brought up is that a devotee who's existing in that mood of separation, they're willing to undergo all those material inconveniences in order to execute the mission of the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's the compassion of a devotee. Tapyanti lokatapena.
Yeah. And we can see even by the example of Vidura that he's crossing through all these wealthy provinces of Surat, Savira, and he's not attracted by them. He's not attracted by comfort. They don't expect that. And for the sake of the Supreme Lord, and for the sake of fulfilling the Supreme Lord's mission to reclaim all the fallen conditioned souls, they're willing to also undergo all kinds of tribulations. All kinds of tribulations. I was just thinking the other day that, just when one is when one takes up different kinds of responsibilities in Krishna consciousness, there's always some kind of headache, You have to, deal with different persons, deal with different situations and things like that. And it's not very easy, And I was thinking, the greatest responsibility that what we can at least imagine within the Krishna conscious movement, and it's true, is to take up the position of being a spiritual master. It's a very, 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 very difficult thing to do. It's actually like, if you want to remain peaceful, that's something you will not do. It's just, you just won't do it. Because just people come with all their problems and they expect you to solve everything. And it's just like, and on top of all that, you can't, you expect disciples to follow, they don't follow, it's not an easy thing to do. But they do it out of great compassion. Because they feel that, that Supreme Lord wants these fallen souls reclaimed. And feeling great compassion for them, they accept this position. It's a very, very difficult service to do. One that you will see, time and again you will see in Shastra, that many, many devotees, they don't willingly just run to become a spiritual master. They show hesitancy, they show reluctance. Partly because they feel unqualified, but also because it's actually a big, It's not something that one can just take up with, what do you call, in a frivolous way. So yeah, I think that you mentioned the story yesterday. Who told me the story of the Srila Prabhupada having his murti?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah,
Yeah. You could repeat that story. That's a very nice story. That shows Prabhupada's compassion,
Yeah, there was a guest. I think he was visiting Krishna Balaram or the the Juhu temple. I forget which one. This is near the end of Srila Prabhupada's manifest pastimes, and this man said, "Swamiji, you're keeping your murti inside the temple while you're still physically
on the altar,
present.
yeah.
The Shastra says that one who's still alive and their murti is on the altar, they have to accept the karma of the people who are coming and having darshan of it, something along those lines." And Prabhupada said, "What can I do? That's why I've come." Something along those lines.
So Srila Prabhupada was so compassionate, because anybody who worships him on the altar, this is when Prabhupada was still present, So that's Prabhupada's mercy. It's his great compassion. So much, anyways, so much. One can keep talking about, and there's no end to the glories of Srila Prabhupada's unlimited compassion upon the fallen conditioned souls. Okay, anything else? Yes.
Okay, I have two questions, but I'll go with one for now. So when it comes to thinking about Krishna, the mood of separation you're talking about is more favorable for thinking about Krishna than actually seeing Krishna, right? Could the same thing be said about the spiritual master?
Yeah.
Okay.
Therefore, Vani Seva is superior to Vapu Seva for that reason, because it is done in separation. So those who serve the spiritual master in separation, they are very dear to the spiritual master. And they are actually more closely associated with him than those who are physically situated. Not that those who are physically situated are not performing Vani Seva, but the example is given like that.
I have another question, but I want to give someone else.
Okay. Anything from the women? No. You can go ahead.
You mentioned that Radharani, other than being in Vrindavan, she went to Kurukshetra, and then you briefly mentioned something I don't know anything about how Puri is
Right.
Kurukshetra. What does that mean? Like
The Rath Yatra
Puri?
festival. So Puri, the Puri temple itself is considered to be Dwaraka, and the Gundicha is considered to be Vrindavan. And the pastime of the Rath Yatra is Krishna being dragged by the residents of Vrindavan from his position as being the royal, prince or king of Dwaraka back to the sweet, sweet village of Vrindavan. So this is the Rath Yatra pastime. And this particular pastime of the residents of Vrindavan asking Krishna to return to Vrindavan happens at Kurukshetra. So Acharya has explained that the pastime of Rath Yatra is from that meeting of the residents of Vrindavan with Krishna at Kurukshetra, and them dragging Krishna, and Krishna being so amazed by their love and devotion that he transforms into this form that we see as Lord Jagannath. His eyes become big, his nose, legs, and kind of just melt away. He has this big smile on his face. Just seeing the great, that the residents of Vrindavan, they were not happy seeing Krishna with all his queens and this and that and all this opulence. They said, who is this? We can't relate to you. And they're in Krishna saying, I'm Supreme Personality, Godhead, you're not able to relate to me. And the residents of Vrindavan said, no, we want to worship you as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. It's very esoteric subject matter, actually. But that even when they are in Kurukshetra, they are seeing Krishna face to face, they are feeling separation from him. It's kind of inconceivable. It's really inconceivable. Krishna is face to face, but they are feeling separation. So what is this? Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, all of them, they are all feeling the same way. It's very, very amazing. And this is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would attend the Rath Yatra festival, dance thinking of this. He would dance in the mood of specifically Srimati Radharani and chant several prayers to Jagannath. Description is Jagannath is amazed seeing Lord Chaitanya's feelings of devotion. It's amazing, amazing pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The whole Rath Yatra section is actually very esoteric, extremely esoteric section. Okay, all right. Hare Krishna.